Welcome to Hawk Talk. We are back. It is finally football season again. We got a game this week. UND opens their season at Kansas State. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a little bit of the depth chart that came out and QB1. I think we'll start there. I predicted Simon Rumfo or Javance Johnson to take the starting role back when I made my season prediction. But throughout fall camp, Jerry Kaminsky took that. And he comes in after starting, or not starting, but only playing in 2 games last year against Murray State and Northern Iowa. He totaled 4 of 5, so 80% completion percentage for only 28 yards, no touchdowns, did not take a sack. He's a big guy, 6'2", 210. Should be a little bit more prototypical quarterback for you. I'm looking forward to watching him play. I saw a lot of promise with him last year. I think he was more accurate than Rumfo with the few snaps that he did take, as well as just watching him on the sideline warming up. I was very impressed with him. I was wanting to see him last year over Rumfo. So I'm excited for that. We'll get into the matchup now. I guess let's go back depth chart a little bit. We will be seeing Dang, wide receiver, playing a little bit more this year, I think. I believe he has won a starting job on the depth chart for week 1, along with Nate DeMontnack and Caden Dennis, I believe, were the 3. DeMontnack should be in the slot, if I remember correctly. Gavin Zebarth, Sawyer Seidel, no big shake-up there. But with the 2 linebackers, you'll have Malachi McNeil and then Ethan Bull from out of Crookston. So that'll be an interesting setup there in the backfield. But let's get into this matchup. Week 1, Kansas State in Manhattan, Kansas. This will be technically Kansas State's second home game since they were the home team in Ireland. But this will be the first time they play in Manhattan, so they'll have their home crowd. Right now, ESPN's got this at a 97.7% chance that Kansas State wins this game. So UND comes in with only a 2.3% chance of pulling off the upset. They got the over-under at 55.5. We'll see how that goes. And they got Kansas State minus 25.5. So that's down from where it started, kind of closer to 28.5, which is a little bit more respectable. I still don't think UND is going to get beat that bad. Kansas State has got to get back after losing to Iowa State last week. Avery Johnson had a very good game, very efficient game. 21 of 30 for 2 touchdowns, I believe 1 on the ground. No, he accounted for all 3 of their touchdowns. I believe 2 of them through the air and 1 on the ground. So he was their best player last week. 273 yards. Just a rough way to start your season against your rival there. But I wanted to kind of go over the matchups at positions here before I give my prediction on how I think this game will go. We'll skip over the quarterback positions because I kind of gave that from individual already. Avery Johnson is the better quarterback. I like Kaminsky, but he is untested. Avery Johnson just went through a hard game, so he'll be ready to go, I'm sure. We'll start over with UND. Our two running backs will be Gavin Zebarth and Sawyer Seidel. Gavin Zebarth had 8 touchdowns last year and he had 134 rushing yards. He was a big part of our offense last year behind Isaiah Smith. Now he'll be the premier back for us. Behind him, you have Sawyer Seidel. He, as RB3 last year, put up 494 yards and 3 touchdowns. He dealt a little bit with injury, took some big hits, and couldn't stay healthy all year, but he is fast. That was the one thing that jumped out to me last year from him. He is going to be a very good running back and another just in the long line of good UND running backs. So I'm excited to watch him play this year. On the other side, you have Dylan Edwards, who did get banged up on the very first play that he was in. That punt return, he took a shot and was dealing with like an upper body injury. But last year he did put up 546 yards and 5 touchdowns. I do not believe he was the starting back last year. So he'll get more reps this year. So him and Zebarth have a very similar comparison between this year and last year. We'll see who can step up their game. I hope he is able to play for this game. Never want to see somebody get hurt. But behind him you have Joe Jackson, who had a pretty good game last week. I wouldn't say very good. 12 carries for 51 yards. Definitely could have been better. But he last year had only 1 touchdown and 227 rushing yards. So by the numbers, UND has the edge in the running game, but I think on paper, Kansas State will still have the edge here. It's really going to be whoever can deal with the other defensive line. So whoever's offensive line plays better should have the better day on the ground, and I think I'm going to say UND is going to have the edge on the O-line. We'll see. Defensively, Kansas State is still very good, but I may give the slight edge to UND because they got a bunch of experience there on the O-line in that matchup, and then vice versa. We probably talk about UND's defense when we get further down there, but I feel good about our D-line as well. At wide receiver, we're going to look at 4 players here. Sam Strandell, newly named captain, and Dang Dang, both returning young players. Didn't have much production last year, if at all, but they're looking at breakout seasons this year. In front or behind them, you will have Nate DeMontnack and Caden Dennis. DeMontnack had 238 yards receiving for 2 touchdowns, so not terribly impressive. Caden Dennis, very similar, 245 yards and 1 touchdown. So they were basically 2 and 3 behind Bo Belquist last year, but they will be taking a bigger role on the team this year, and they may have a better quarterback throwing to them. I'm looking forward to watching that. Kaminsky's got plenty of targets, and they're really good. So we'll see how that plays out. On the other side, you have Jace Brown Jordan Tibbs, Caleb Medford, and Jaron Bailey. Jace Brown looks to be the wide receiver one. He had 4 receptions last week for 78 yards and a touchdown, so he's a big play threat for Kansas State. He finished the year last year with 823 yards and 5 touchdowns, so definitely their leading wide receiver there. Behind him, Caleb Medford finished the year last year with 336 yards and 3 touchdowns. Solid wide receiver room. They had some explosive plays there in the second half when they needed them. So we'll see if UND's secondary can keep a hold on them. At tight end, this is where Kansas State has, I think, the biggest edge. Because UND's tight ends come in very inexperienced. With Hayden Stay only 11 yards, no touchdowns, and then Hunter Kellstrom, who is a redshirt freshman from Wyoming. So there's some other pieces there. Grant Rumfo, former running back, changed positions to be a tight end. So we'll see how that shakes out. But not a ton of production returning for tight end after losing Quincy Vaughn to the CFL. Kansas State's Garrett Oakley and Braden Lofton were their top targets last year. Garrett finished with 236 yards and 5 touchdowns. Braden had 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they got some production there. They're big body guys. They will definitely be a physical challenge for UND secondary to deal with. I think if UND can control the air and take away that, then I feel pretty good about them being able to stop the run. But it's the air that's going to be tough. On the defensive side, the 2 captains, Malachi McNeil and Lance Rutker, combined for almost 100 tackles, or over 100 tackles, I should say. McNeil had 68 tackles and 2 sacks, where Lance Rutker had 38 tackles and 2 sacks. So both very good players, and they will be the leaders on this team. I'm looking forward to watching both of them. They're going to be key in stopping the run, which is the key to hanging in this game. If you can't control Avery Johnson and those running backs, it's going to be tough. On the opposite side, you have Austin Romaine and Desmond Purnell. They are going to be tough linebackers to get around. Romaine had 96 tackles and 2 sacks, so almost 100 tackles is crazy by himself. Whereas Purnell had 33 tackles and 4 sacks. These guys are good. They'll be tough on the defense. Definitely a very good defensive group. It'll be on UND's O-line to push that front 4 back so that we can get some running room into that secondary. But those 2 guys right there are going to be hard to get around once you get to that second level. At DB, we have Avery Scott and Antonio Blewett. We'll see some other guys. Scott will be playing more of a nickel. He had 22 tackles and 2 interceptions last year. Antonio Blewett had 24 tackles and he defended four passes. Secondary, there's a lot of guys out there that I can't mention, but Johnny Wiltshire will be a factor for us. We're deeper than just those two guys, but those are the only two I'm going to mention right now. We'll get into safeties in a minute. On the defensive side for Kansas State at DB, you got Marion Fortenberry and Justice Clemens. 43 tackles, 6 passes defended, and 2 picks there for Marion. And then Justice had 15 tackles, defended 1 pass, no picks. So the edge is going to go to Kansas State there, obviously. Top end talent is going to be tough to beat. That's why the run game in this game is so important for UND. If they don't keep up the run game and open up the sky for Kaminsky to throw the ball, it's going to be hard to move the ball at all. Back end here we have the safeties, John Martin and Tyler Erkman, who I believe will be perhaps sitting behind someone else to start the year, but he's one of our returning guys. He'll be a depth piece for us this year, which is really good. Martin had 20 tackles and an interception, and Erkman had 31 tackles, 3 passes defended, and an interception. So he was very good last year as a freshman. I'm excited to see him grow this year. JV Payne, who had a big impact in that game for Kansas State against Iowa State. He last year had 64 tackles, 3 passes defended, and 2 interceptions, whereas Jack Fabris had 26 tackles, 1 pass defended, and 1 interception. So, going through all of the players there, obviously Kansas State's going to have the better players. UND is going to have some great returning production. However, I do feel good about what UND has. And I like the spot that they're getting Kansas State. Coming off of a loss in Ireland is possibly difficult to overcome. We'll see if they can bounce back. They have the better roster. They just need to go beat UND. However, UND is not going to make it easy. Got a new head coach. Lots of returning production. Great transfers where we needed them. And probably some wrinkles at quarterback with Javance, if I had to guess. We'll see him in the game at some point. So, let's get into my prediction. 55.5 is reasonable. Game in the 30s would get you over. I think I would take the over, if only for Kansas State. I think Kansas State will definitely get there. However, I don't like the 25.5. I don't think it's going to be that big of a blowout. I think UND will keep pace with Kansas State. A little bit better than that. So, final score prediction. 35-17 final score, if I had to guess. I don't know if UND can score a lot. I think they will put up some points against Kansas State. I don't think Kansas State will be as sloppy as they were at the start of the game against Iowa State. So we'll see how this goes. I am probably way off. Kansas State could probably put up 48 on them if they're clicking, but I'm banking on them stumbling a little bit and UND keeping it close. I think 7-point game going into halftime, where then Kansas State kind of pulls away at the end. So we'll see how this all goes, and I'm just happy to have football back. So I will see you guys in the next one. We'll break down Portland State next week. So you guys have a good day.